Hi, everyone. My name is Dara Alston. Welcome to my space, my bookish space here on the internet. And today I wanted to talk about my relationship with reading, where it started, where it's been, how it's going. I might do a part two and talk about my journey as a writer as well, because I'm also an author, and then I'm also a book editor. That's what pays the bills. So this might be a three-part series in terms of like reading, writing, editing. I may even do publishing. Let me know if you want to talk about my self-publishing process and how that all came to be. But today I want to focus specifically on reading and just my love of books in general. And I touched on this a little bit in the BookTube newbie tag, but I wanted to expound on it within this video. So when I was little, I was always surrounded by books somehow. I was attracted to going to the library. It was something in me that was always drawn to going to the library and getting books and reading. That's always been something that's a part of my life. And if we're talking about language arts in general, that was always my favorite subject growing up. And oddly enough, that was also a subject that came really easy to me. Um, I won almost all the spelling bees in elementary school, but one. I misspelled receive in the sixth grade and I lost. But from second to fifth, I won all of those spelling bees. I just genuinely love words. I love the English language. And I love reading. I love books. And looking back, I can see that reading for me, because I grew up in a small apartment, it was just me, my mom, my dad, and my younger sister. Reading for me was a way to escape. It was a way for me to meet other people because I was very shy, very reserved, very to myself. So reading provided a way for me to meet other people. I was able to travel to other places. I was able to see what would happen in other people's lives. I remember my favorite series was The Babysitter's Club, and I couldn't wait to go to the library to see what new Babysitter's Club book they had. It was like the best thing. And then as I got older, that translated to going to the Christian bookstore and finding out what new Christian fiction was in. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it. However, getting into college, I became, I didn't know what I wanted to major in when I got in, because I knew I had this love of reading, this love of books, this love of language arts, but I couldn't articulate what to do with it. And so I went to college on scholarship and I was assigned a scholarship advisor. So she was the one who was helping me kind of work through this undecided, because I went in undeclared, kind of what she helped me walk through which major I was going to choose. And so she was asking me about my interests in things, and all the while I was taking the most random classes. I was taking theater, psychology, ballroom, oceanography. Like I took the most random classes until we narrowed it down to two fields: public relations and English. My desire with public relations came because there was this like business aspect that I felt like I had to have with my major. I wanted to be this boss woman, and so I felt like public relations would be the perfect mesh of business and English, which of course I hadn't really the slightest idea of what public relations actually entail. But in my head, I thought public relations would mesh together this perfect world of business and English. And so I got to meet with the PR rep for the president of the university, and she began to talk with me about some things, and I actually got to meet the president of the university, which was really cool. Um, and so, but then I took this one literature class, Ancient Mediterranean or Ancient Civilization in Mediterranean Literature. I was either 18 or 19 at the time, and my professor, yes, he's a professor, was 21. He was a dang prodigy. This dude, I remember his passion, like how much he enjoyed reading ancient civilization literature. That class, coupled with the Intro to British Literature class that I took and the passion that I saw in that professor, it really ignited something in me that, yeah, like this is what I love. I love literature. I love reading. And so that's how I decided to declare an English major. But, and this is hilarious, I am on record in my head as the worst English major ever. Because mind you, so you hear me talking about like how much I love books, right? However, I think once I declared the English major, something in me just switched. I think once I made it academic, it it became to be a bad taste in my mouth. Like, because I barely read any of the books. I would average probably reading 1 to 2 books out of the literature courses that I took. I remember I took 2 courses of African American novel. I took 2 courses of like general British literature. I took 2 courses of Victorian Renaissance literature. I took a course on the Victorian novel. Like, I think I was more enamored with the idea of what it looked like to be a literature student, but actually putting in the work of being a literature student, I just wasn't here for. I was more concerned with my image than actually living out, actually doing the tasks that my major required of me. And if I must say, that is like a big thing that I regret in terms of my college experience. Like, if I could do it over again, oh my gosh, I would, like, in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, if I could go back in time, like, I wonder what it would have looked like if I would have taken my major seriously. Because I feel that now. Like, there's this longing in me now to even want to read those books that I was assigned in class. Like, one of the books that is on my TBR for this year is Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. And of course, with Victorian literature, we got into Jane Austen, but I didn't appreciate it. I didn't care what we were assigned. I just wanted to look the part. And so I barely read during college, and then right after college, I took an extra semester, so I graduated in December instead of May. And so I had 8 months before I started graduate school. And graduate school, I went for interior architecture, which is a whole other subject. If you want me to talk about that, I can definitely talk about that. But this was a program that didn't require you to have interior design or architecture background, which is why the program was 3 years. So I could go in, have that first year of prerequisites, and then the final 2 years would be the master's coursework. And when I tell you, I felt like I literally went through hell. Like, I cried, I wailed, I wept every semester. So, like, that being the most emotionally taxing and draining experience I've ever had in my life, I was not reading at all. So it wasn't until I got out, and then after I got out, of course, I was still confused. I didn't feel like I could actually do this. Like, my professors, not a lot of my professors were encouraging in terms of them thinking that I could actually make it in the interior design world. So I just was like, bet, screw all of it, all of the interior design, just forget it. So I continued my job at Hard Rock because I was working at Hard Rock while I was in grad school. So I continued working there for a year. And then I got my first corporate job as an editorial assistant. And it was, I got a Kindle my Christmas of 2016. And which was like, that was the year that I also got this new corporate job. I got the corporate job May of 2016. And then December 2016 is when I got the Kindle. And reading Ted Decker's AD 33, which is historical slash biblical fiction, and having it on the Kindle, that reignited something in me. The fact that I was able to, during my lunch, go to a completely other world and remove myself from my current reality and experience something else, that was something that I treasured and I hold dear. And literally from there, like, slowly, I began to read more. I read The Chronicles of Narnia, which is, I'm going to make a whole separate video on that, of how the Chronicles of Narnia inspired and literally changed my life. And the nature of the Chronicles of Narnia, I think, awakened this hunger for more reading. And now I was just on my Kindle all the time. And this, of course, was during a time pre-COVID where I was working in Center City, Philly. That's what Philadelphians call their downtown. We call it Center City. So I was just commuting back and forth from home to Center City for work. And so I would use that commuting time and my lunchtime to read on my Kindle. And it wasn't until January 2020. So I tore my Achilles in December 2019 during my church's Christmas program. I was that's a whole other story too. So I had my surgery in January of 2020. And mind you, so I'm recovering from my surgery and COVID hit. So it's like I'm in the house for real, for real. But that time, I received C.S. Lewis's The Reading Life for a Christmas gift. And reading that, writing in it, engaging in the text, that really reignited my love of physical books. And so from then on, little by little, I began to purchase different physical books until I stumbled onto this thing called BookTube that I didn't even know existed. And I began to see all these people who just share their love of books. And then next thing I know, on my birthday, like I get this inspired idea to do a childhood reread series where I just read as an adult the books that I loved and treasured as a child and as a teenager. And I bought all of them in print. I bought 18 books on my birthday for this childhood reread series. But on top of that, it's because this rekindling of physical books also made me think about the legacy that I want to leave as a reader, and the legacy of a reader that I want to leave to my kids. I want to be able to collect and curate a library where my kids will be able to read the books that I read as a child, and that my kids will be able to come in contact with the books that had changed their mother's life. And so, and this is something I'm going to talk about in my podcast in terms of like why I buy physical books. That is hugely like a large part of why I buy physical books, is me beginning to build a library that I can leave for my kids. Because let's be honest, like everything that's out here is not healthy for children to read. This is my opinion. Like, I just don't want my children reading any and everything. So the fact that I can read these children's books, read these teen books, and read these like adult fiction books and have something to pass along to them is something that is it's like a very strong desire of mine. So where I am now, I'm loving my process of my, I don't want to call it a process, but I'm just loving this space of just falling back in love with books like I was as a child. And I'm reading Kindle books less and less, but I'm still on my Kindle because now I discovered Prime Reading, because I'm not going to pay for Kindle Unlimited because honestly, it's not worth it, especially with this whole, like with me loving physical books again. But Prime Reading, because I already have Amazon Prime, it's like, they have less books than Kindle Unlimited, but it's the same concept where I can borrow books. And I love it. And I use it for books that I'm not sure if I'll like or not. But I am just in this space now where I am really enjoying reading again. And even learning more about myself as I read. Like, why do I want to read specific books? What specific genres do I like? Like, it's kind of, I'm learning more about myself, and I am just incredibly inspired, encouraged, and happy to even find this community of BookTube where I can just share my love of books. Because if it's one thing that I desire, and I spoke with this with another young lady over Instagram, is that like what C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien had with the Inklings, that is really my desire, is to just find a group, find a community where we can just workshops, share with one another what you're reading. And we don't even have to be reading the same things, but just being like someone sharing my excitement for books, finding a community, a group, excuse me, finding a group that shares my desire for books. Like, that's really what my heart is, even with these videos and with this channel, is just being able to put my love of books out there so that because there may be someone else out there who, you know, they're the only one in their friend circle or what have you, who love books and really wants to share them but don't know who to share them with. Your girl's right here for you. You got a sister right here. You can share with me what you're reading, why you like it, what genres, your favorite author. I'm here for it all. So I definitely talked longer than I thought I would, but I just wanted to make this separate video to really share with you my heart in terms of reading. And I definitely plan on making another video about writing. And then if you want, I can make a video about my self-publishing process and what led me to self-publish my books that I have out. And even with that, I also have my podcast called The Book Sale, SAIL. And that's another avenue of me just sharing my love of literature in general and just some things that I've seen along the landscape of literature, both in mainstream and Christian literature. So I'm just really excited, again, to just be in this space, to just share my love of books, my love of literature with everyone. And thank you so much for watching. Leave me a comment. Let me know why you love reading, what your reading journey has been, or make a video and tag me in it. I would love to see what got you guys on your journey of reading. But this is my journey of reading, and I'm so grateful to be on it. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys in the next video.